Hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of Roller Pigeon Evolution. We've been gone for a while. We're excited to be back. We got some really radical things to talk about. Some things that I've discovered, some things that I've learned that I want to share with you. And let's take a look at what we've got. We've got some birds up here. We've got some hens. All this top row, these are all hens. Some beautiful birds. Some are birds from Richard Apodaca, and if you remember him from our last video, Richard Apodaca is a master at breeding. These are all cocks on this row right here. Beautiful red check. You got a beautiful ash red here, and you got a stunning black here. And then on the last row, we got a little red check marked here, and you got two little youngsters, an ash red and a little recessive red next to it, nest mate. You got a little ash red badge here. And you got a little mealy barb bearded bird or marked up bird here. So we've got some exciting things to talk about today, and we have a guest. So we brought in a guest, and he's got questions. His name is Big Dog from White Boy Loft. So come on in here. This is Big Dog. He is going to be asking questions today. We also got Danny Castillo, our co-host, on the camera. So make sure you say hi to Danny. Let's talk about type today. That's what we're going to be talking about. A lot of people, you hear them referring to in the shows, talking about a bird's type. We're going to talk about what that is and how do you control type. Why do you need to control type? And what are the factors leading into breeding that dictates type? So these are some things that I found out recently that are really kind of, how should I say, upside down in what I was taught coming up raising rollers. Some things that I've tried and realized that we were wrong. So at least I was wrong.
And about that, man, I mean, we had conversation, you and I.
Yes.
You know, and it's mind-blowing, and at the same time makes total sense.
Exactly.
I hope you guys get the whole gist of it.
Definitely. Let's talk about type. So what is type? When we talk about type, we are talking about the bird's body type. So let's look at some different body types. What I have here on display for you, this red cock, is what you call a muscle cock. Why is he called a muscle cock? Because he contains a lot of body muscle. You look at this one right here, another muscle cock. Then you look right here, this is Zeus, one of my favorite birds, a muscle cock. This is Zeus's half brother right here, Big Black, and he is a muscle cock.
So,
Go
out
ahead.
of these four cocks that you picked from your loft,
Right.
what made you choose these four and for what reasons?
Okay, perfect example. Let's look at Zeus. So, when you hold Zeus, I mean, you have some pretty big hands.
Yeah.
When you hold Zeus, you look, what do you find? Where's the majority of that bird's body weight?
I feel muscle.
Right here.
Muscle up in here.
Exactly. So that's one of the reasons I picked this bird.
Pretty typey.
This bird was not flown, and following the Apodaca theory, muscle cocks, you breed to produce breeders. You are not breeding them to fly. So when you breed a muscle cock, it is to breed, period. It's not to fly. That is his theory. And that's a theory that I'm following, and I've been trying to prove, and I've had some really good success in proving that.
Okay, now you said this is Zeus's
Half brother.
Okay,
So they
now-
have the same father, but they have a different mother.
Okay, as far as breeding
Yes.
goes, you said this is bred not to fly.
No.
Correct.
No.
So what about his brother?
Same thing. He was bred not to fly. He was bred and kept because of his muscle. So I want you to hold his brother.
So touch a little bit about that. What do you mean by he was bred not to fly?
Okay, so when, and this is again going back to Apodaca's theory, when you breed birds to fly, the process is completely different than when you're breeding birds to be breeders. And that's crazy because we've always picked our breeders from the kit, right?
Yep, from the air.
Apodaca doesn't pick his breeders from the kit. His breeders are made in the loft.
So these were bred straight to the loft.
Yes, they were bred to stay in the loft. They were not bred to fly. Their babies will be flyers. So how do I select a hen to breed with this bird?
Yes,
So
what's the typical hen that you would put on that
So
bird?
the typical hen I would breed with that bird is a very slender, very narrow hen. So when you look at her, right here, she is very narrow.
She's nice.
Exactly. She's a very slender bird, very petite. She's not a big bird. So I put this bird with this cock right here and that will produce me flyers. That's actually his mate. Now that mate is his half sister.
Now, have you got birds flowing in the kit from this today?
Yes, you saw babies today fly off.
Yeah. How productive are they for you?
So far, you figure the birds have been flying just a month, and in a month, we're already seeing birds starting to put spin
I
together.
see some spin up there.
Exactly. So it's been very productive.
And this is the theory we're talking about.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So then, if you look at this cock right here, I call him the showy red check. The showy red check, I've got sons off of him that I've bred to breed. As a matter of fact, I want to grab one of his sons. The showy red check. This is his son. His son was bred to be a breeder, not to fly. Look at the size. Size, they're almost identical. His son may be a little bit bigger, but he was bred not to fly. He was bred to be a breeder because of his muscle content, his body muscle, body mass, literally is what I want. It's ideal for breeding. So I put him down. I've got a baby in the kit off of this showy red son, and his baby is starting to roll really nice.
So when it comes to pairing your birds, how you pair them, color has no issue.
Color has
basis
nothing to
in
do
your
with
breeding.
it. No, color has nothing to do with it. Obviously, well, that's kind of a double-edged sword there. When you say color does have something to do with it, because one of the things I try not to do is breed recessive red to recessive red.
Right.
Because they're both soft feather birds, and you tend to get birds that will be a little more deeper, they'll be a little dangerous. I try not, birds that have a lot of white in their feathers, I try not to bring them in, because in this particular breeding situation, I try not to.
So what's your typical bird that you would put this on?
Him?
As far as your hens.
So as far as hens, he'd go on a hen like this.
Okay.
Matter of fact, the hen he's on is actually closely related to that.
And why the choice of this hen?
Because she's slender, small body, a very typey hen. She's from tip to tail, more balanced.
Yes.
That's the type of bird that he would be bred to. And the results that I've had, matter of fact, I'm going to show you a daughter that I bred out of him that is stunning. And she came out exactly what she's supposed to be, a kit bird. Again, the type we talk about again and again. One of the things that I discovered is a type. The type is controlled by the hens. And that may sound crazy because we've always been taught, if you breed the cock, that the babies are going to come out like the cock 90% of the time. Not true.
So you're saying in a typical pair like this,
Right.
the genetics are through the hen, not the cock.
The type
That's very
is
interesting.
controlled by the hen, not the cock. Because you look at the size of this cock, you look at the size of the hen, there's a big difference between them. Look at the black
Well,
and
you
then
would
look at
think
the red.
He would overpower that based on his size, but
That's not what I found. What I found is the hen controls the type. So look at this cock, and I'm gonna grab his daughter, and we'll see. So this is his daughter, and look at her. Oh, matter of fact, let me just show her. Look how narrow this hen is. She is very small, very slender. That's a kit bird. That's what a kit bird should be. But you still have to have the engine in order to generate that type of roll. So where's the engine coming from? Engine is coming from the cock because the cock carries the muscle. So look at her in the cage next to her father.
Now you said the cock carries the muscle.
Yes.
That's for flying birds?
For rolling.
For
Yes.
rolling. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
The cock dictates the muscle that bird's gonna have.
That's for rolling.
right.
Yes, sir.
That's why you want every mating to be on a muscle cock. That's why I put every mating together with this family on a muscle cock. Not down off of a muscle cock, but every cock that is down
That's very interesting.
needs to be a muscle cock. And that is gonna do two things. It's gonna, one, your consistency in roll, in the fact that you're gonna get a larger percentage of birds, they're gonna come into the roll and roll consistently. On a good day, if you get 50% of your birds that roll great, everybody's happy. With this
Now-
family of birds, 80 to 100%.
Now, have you had a big bird that you've bred before? Roll?
Yes.
Consistent?
Yes.
Like a small bird?
Yes.
Small body type?
Definitely. But what you find when the birds have too much muscle and you're flying that type like a muscle cock, they roll and they roll great, but they're not consistent. They're slow, not slow, they're infrequent.
Okay, now out of all your years of breeding with your original family, as well as mixing in other families,
Right.
how have you experienced kidding with your family as to other families?
So if you're flying mixed families,
Yes.
you're gonna get mixed results. Because the birds that roll together tend to be the same families.
Yes.
You know, you want birds to roll alike, you want them to act alike, you want them to be alike, they need to be alike. They need to be the same family. If you have families from all over the place, and when you fly a kit, a lot of times those birds, they're not going to roll the same, they're not going to fly the same, because they're different.
They come in later, some come in
Exactly.
sooner.
Yep.
So the birds we seen flying here a moment ago
Right.
are also Richard Apodaca birds.
Yes, those are Apodaca birds. They do have
Very
a couple
nice.
birds that were in there. They're not his birds, and you notice those birds,
Different,
they feel
yes.
different. You had the bulk of the kit was flying together, and some of the birds that were below, those are other families.
So for the viewers, let's get this right. Apodaca,
Apodaca.
sorry for the pronunciation. You got some good birds, man.
Definitely.
Want to give a shout out to him.
So let's talk about. You put that on me. So let's talk about the fact that we've done experiments with type, and I want to show you what happened and what we experienced. So I'm going to pull some birds out of here, and I'll put some birds in here. This red cockbird is red checker cockbird. If you look at this bird, he's very long, tip to tail. So the tip of his wings and the tip of his tail, there's about an inch difference. Okay, so he's a long cast bird. Very beautiful bird. Look at him. He carries good muscle, but he's just a little long. And this is a 514 bird. Goes back to some Gene Geigo 514. Jammed up Gene Geigo 514. So I put him on this little hen right here. And if you look at her, body-wise, she's got good muscle, but she's a lot narrower than he is. So she's closer to what an ideal wedge bird would be. If you look at the space between the tip of her tail and the tip of her wings, again, not as much as his, but so that pair, if you look at the pair, the hen is a lot smaller. She's cobby. So when you go back to my argument that hens dictate type, let's look at their offspring. So what would their baby look like? How is their baby gonna line up if I'm using the Apodaca theory? So look at this, you're gonna be shocked. Tip to tail, look at their baby. Almost perfect. Very little space in between.
Okay, now, what is the do's and don'ts for the tip to tail?
You wanna have your tip of their wings and the tip of their tail as close together as possible.
Okay, now, on her, I noticed they were a little bit shorter.
Yes, on the cocks it's a little longer.
Okay.
So
Now, does that take away from the performance of the bird, or does that add to the
that's going
performance
to add
of the
to
bird?
the performance of the bird because it's less drag.
Okay.
You know, if you
Yes.
look the bird going in a complete 360-degree circle, anything that's sticking out is going to create drag, which is going to slow the bird down.
Okay.
So the less you have sticking out, the faster that bird's going to be. As long as he has the correct engine, which is muscle, you know, and he comes from a family of
Now,
rollers.
as far as flying birds,
Right.
you choose small type bodies
Definitely.
over big type bodies.
Yes, for flying birds. Now, this bird, so look at the way this bird is built, okay? He's compact, he's proportioned. Now look at his parents. His father's a long bird, but the hen is a ball. She has, now look at their baby in the cage. Whose type do you think that hen took? You answer me.
From the hen,
Exactly, it took the hen's type.
you can tell by coloring as well. Is that
And
correct?
that's a cockbird. That's a little cockbird.
It is.
So this is his mother.
Nice.
This is his mother, right there. Hens dictate type. Hens dictate type. I'll say it again. Where's the father? So here's his father, which you think that the cock dictates type. The cock did not dictate type in this mating at all. Two cockbirds, father and son, nothing like
Now I
his
have
father.
a question.
Yes.
How long did it take you to come up with this theory of all your years of breeding pigeons?
None. I didn't come up with it. It's Richard Apodaca's theory. It's not mine at all. But it's a theory that he explained to me. And at first I thought he's just a crazy old man. And then I saw his birds fly and realized, oh hell, he's not crazy at all. He's crazy like a fox. He
So-
understands it.
So had you not known that knowledge
No.
and you seen a bird in the sky, would you be able to tell if it was a big body type or small body type bird?
Yes. Just from seeing it fly. Yes. Yeah, you definitely could. Now, I'm gonna show you another group of birds that we worked with. We've got these two right here. I'm gonna pull these out. And I'm gonna put some new birds in here. So this is Zeus,
This is Zeus.
Back to Zeus.
and I'm gonna pull Zeus's youngsters, his babies. I'll show you. Alright, so this is Zeus. These are two of Zeus's sons. Now, keep in mind, I'm gonna put them in here next to him. I want you to see how big they are compared to their father. Now, Big Dog, you handled these birds.
Yes, I handled both the birds.
Right. They are squeakers, and look at where they stand compared to their father. They're pretty darn close, and these are just squeakers. So that tells you when these birds mature out, they're going to be very, very large birds.
I actually held both these birds.
Right.
I was actually amazed at the size. I mean, I'm a big dude, I have a big hand.
Right.
I was actually amazed at the size they were in my hand.
For squeakers.
Being squeakers, being
Yeah,
young birds.
So what these birds carry, they carry a lot of muscle. And I bred these birds not to fly. These birds are bred to be breeders. So how did I do that? I took their mother, which is a muscle hen, which I'm gonna grab her, and that muscle hen is what I use to produce breeders. All right, so here's their mom, who was mated on Zeus. Again, she's almost close to the same stature as the cockbird. So these were designed to produce breeders, not to produce flyers. Those babies will never see air. Zeus, never flown.
Okay, now, as far as, okay, we explained the difference in the body types.
Right.
Over the years, I've heard you're not supposed to breed pearl eye to corn eye. What is your experience on that?
My experience on it is it makes absolutely no difference. Corn eye, pearl eye, bull eye, doesn't make. Eye color, I found, has no difference. If you have birds that are too deep, and you put two deep birds that are together, you can get deep birds 90% of the time. So, but yeah. Now, you know, one of the things that we talked about, the difference between birds that are big and birds that have muscle. Now, I have a bird that is big here, but doesn't have a whole lot of muscle. It's just big. Perfect example right here. This bird, very narrow in the front. He's a long cast bird, tip to tail, he's longer. Great producer, but he doesn't have a whole lot of muscle. And it's not to say birds that don't follow the Apodaca theory will not produce you good roll, but it's about keeping your consistency high. One of the things Richard does is that he does not change kit birds. He doesn't swap kit birds. He puts 20 birds in one box. Those 20 birds stay in that box until they come in, and they all come in. He doesn't have to have that kit that doesn't come in. They all come in about the same time. That's really, really impressive.
So, bull eye has no
None.
no
What?
place in
What is a bull eye?
description.
There's a bull eye right there for you. So that's a bull eye. And you notice the other side? It's an orange eye.
Now,
So-
now may I ask
Right.
how that was created like that? Is
Okay.
it just genes?
That's a great question. What causes a bull eye? If you notice this bird, it has a lot of white over the eye. Whenever birds have white over the eye, it tends to bull. If you look on the other side, there's no white over the eye.
You're referring to the meat around the eye.
No, the white as in the color.
Oh, okay.
The color white, the white feathers. The white feathers tend to do that. Whenever they have white markings on their head, their eyes will
I
bull.
noticed on that one too.
Yeah, and again, pointed out by you, this hen, if you look at her,
Both sides.
both sides are bull, and she has white over both sides of the eye, the white coloring over both sides of the eye. And you notice most of the birds. Now, one thing that you will hardly ever see is a blue check with bull eyes. But guess what? I actually have one. A full blue check with bull eyes. Have you ever seen a blue check with bull eyes?
I meant to give you that blue bar I had.
Dark eyes. But I got a blue check that has bull eyes.
Never
So-
seen that before.
Yeah, it's rare. It doesn't really happen that often, but it does. So these hens right up here, again, these are muscle hens. So muscle hens for producing breeders, slender, very, very typey hens for producing kit birds onto a muscle bird. So one thing to keep in mind, all your matings should be a muscle cock mating. And your hens, if you're producing kit birds, your hens should be slender, typey wedge hens. Right? Okay, so guys, I want to thank our guest, Big Dog, for coming down and assisting us and asking questions. One of the things I want to encourage that all you guys do is go ahead, like, okay, and ask questions. But I want you, in this particular instance, I want you to tell me what type of videos you guys want to see. And I'm going to make those videos based on what you're doing and what you want to see. So, once again, thanks for watching another edition of Roller Pigeon Evolution. This is Smitty with my host, Danny Castillo.
Thanks,
and
Danny.
Big Dog, thanks again, and tune into the next one.
Ask those questions. You only know what you know, right?
There you go. Oh, definitely. Remember, you only know what you know.